Today we're talking Ubisoft's shooter XDefiant surprise shutdown, another Switch 2 leak, and a review roundup for the latest Indiana Jones game. Plus, Call of Duty Black Ops 6 player hits the max prestige and max controversy. Was the method he used fair? Stick around to find out. Welcome, friends, to this week's episode of Good Playing With You, the weekly gaming podcast. I'm Dan Whitehill, and as always, I'm joined by my prestigious pair of Matts, Matt Lord.
Hey, how's it going?
And Matt Maulding.
Hey now.
We've got a lot of news stories this week, so let's just jump straight into those headlines. First up, Lord, you had a story about XDefiant's surprise shutdown.
Yeah, can you believe it? So, XDefiant, just a little backstory on what this game is.
Yeah,
XDefiant
remind me, because I don't even remember.
It's crazy because, it hasn't been around for that long, for one thing. XDefiant is Ubisoft's, COD killer, putting that in quotes. It's a free-to-play first-person shooter, came out May 21st, 2024. So, it's only been on the streets for a little while, not too long. And so a statement has been released from executive producer Mark Rubin on the imminent shutdown of XDefiant on X. So this is what he had to say. These are the two parts that I feel like are most resonate with me. So starting today, December 3rd, 2024, new downloads and player registrations will no longer be available. We will still release our season 3 content in the near future, exact date TBD, and the servers will remain active until June 3rd, 2025. And then he says a few more things, but this is the next thing that I thought was actually nice. If there's one thing I hope we can all take away from this experience, it's the importance of open, honest communication between developers and players. This player-first mentality, along with respectful, non-toxic conversations between developers and players, has been one of the standout differences that made XDefiant so special. From my very first post about XDefiant, this was the vision I wanted to champion, and I hope it leaves a positive mark on how the gaming industry treats its players and communities.
And that is nice to hear.
Yeah, I thought that was a really nice little message. But kind of jumping back, interesting, because last week we spoke about how Ubisoft wanted to remove player counts visible player counts from Steam, and they even reached out maybe behind the scenes to Valve. So this is interesting. We're having kind of connected stories, I feel like, from last week where they wanted player count to be, non-visible, and then they go ahead and announce that XDefiant is shutting down. So interesting. I don't know if there's a coincidence there, but it sure seems like it's timely. So crazy that this game that's really not old at all is already shutting its doors. They were saying it wasn't hitting its sales numbers, etc. All the usual
stuff. When did it release again?
It released on May 21st, 2024.
Wow.
So it had the summer.
Yeah, another online game, just like Concord, gone.
I mean, right now I'm looking at it. 7-day high is over 1 million. It's maintaining 1.1 million players. I mean, that feels healthy, but I guess people aren't buying anything, which is what, if it's a free to play shooter, that's what they need. They need people to buy stuff.
Or maybe because it's going away, people are trying to check it out before it, they
or maybe
shop.
This is its 7-day. This is its 7-day number.
Yeah, but it's one thing to note:
30 day. It's 30 days the same. Yeah, it's 180 days the same. That's basically what's been maintaining is 1 million.
But that's their peak concurrence, or?
Yeah. I mean, it's their 7-day high and 7-day low is both basically the same. I mean, if they're not buying anything, then that's why. So you don't buy stuff, and
they said
free to play.
You just have to make your game more predatory. I mean, look at what Fortnite's doing with their new shoes. Did anybody ask for shoes? No, we did not. But now our characters can now buy shoes that we didn't even want for $20 or $30.
Oh, that's what that. I saw something on Twitter with the alien wearing a pair of kicks, and I was like,
we got free
Nikes.
This?
I don't even know.
Yeah. It's crazy. I mean, so it's another one biting the dust. I think it's
That's wild.
just, yeah. I mean,
And I
yeah,
think it's
these
interesting that
whales,
you're connecting it with last week's rumored story about Ubisoft reaching out to remove the numbers. And what makes
right?
me kind of wonder, do the player numbers make you guys like or hate a game? Like, do they make you, I mean, if it has a low player number, are you going to leave?
I mean, in a game like this where it's always online and it's a shooter, I want healthy player numbers because then I know I'm not going to wait in a queue very long for a game. Like, I know that it's healthy. Like, yeah, player numbers definitely matter for something like this.
Yeah, agreed 100% with what Maulding just said. I would say, if you're, especially it, typically when you do have a low player count as well, it could take a longer time to get into a match. And I'm not willing to wait 10 minutes to get into a match, especially when it just comes to like a death match FPS game like this.
That's
So
interesting because I feel like I'm the exact opposite. Like a high player count will make me learn about the game and build awareness because I'll see it at the top of the charts or I'll see it on the top of Twitch in terms of streaming. But lower player counts, I don't even notice. And maybe that's my choice of game because I am the guy who plays like Outlast Trials or Dead by Daylight. They've come a long way since I started playing that one. But like Friday the 13th, like I loved all of those games, and the matchmaking wasn't too bad. Although Texas Chainsaw Man, you need to step up your game. But
We had
they're all
some
like
dark Dead by Daylight times, though. There were some times during that game we were waiting 5-10 minutes for a match, and that
okay.
was
You're totally right, but I
harsh.
think that was more their servers than it was finding people.
Yeah,
But that's
I think so,
my
too.
guess. I don't know.
yeah,
Interesting.
totally interesting. And yeah, I mean, who knows? Maybe those are connected. I'm not sure. I mean, this is a huge game. I do remember initially when this came out, and they were really touting it as the COD killer. So seeing it just shutter up in under what, like 6 months is pretty outrageous to say the least.
I
That
mean, I
is
have to
wild.
say, I feel like I'm pretty keyed in on video games, video game podcasts, and all. And this game, totally not on my radar at all. I didn't know a thing about it.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's probably why it died.
Yes.
That and gamers always seem to say that they want to play more of single player, like story based adventures. And that is what just came out today in early release period of 3 days or whatever on the Xbox Game Pass. And that's Indiana Jones. And I can't wait. It's gotten some pretty good reviews so far, and it's got a Metacritic, and it's sitting at number 86, which is a green light for me. Um, but I, of course, would play it either way. And essentially, it's out next week on the 10th in wide release for anyone who didn't pay for the early access. There are already a handful of perfect scores, so some critics absolutely loving the experience and others left wanting a little bit more. So I wanted to quickly run down a review roundup for you guys. First up is Eurogamer, which gave it a 5 out of 5. They said the next Tomb Raider and Uncharted games certainly have their work cut out for them after this, as will whoever machine game ends up tackling next. But one thing is certain, Indie's legendary legacy feels welcome and truly restored with the Great Circle, and that's the kind of mileage that we can all enjoy for years to come. Noisy Pixel gave it a 7 out of 10 and said Indiana Jones and the Great Circle captures the spirit of the adventure with nostalgic puzzles, richly detailed environments, and thrilling set pieces. While it stumbles with lackluster AI and clunky item management, its charm and sense of discovery make it a rewarding journey for fans of the iconic archaeologist. And Games Radar gave it a 5 out of 5 and said Indiana Jones and the Great Circle is the best adventure this character has embarked on in over 30 years. Developer Machine Games has leveraged its expertise in the first-person shooter space to deliver an immersive, authentic first-person adventure that is quite unlike anything you've played before. So, gentlemen, I'm pumped. I know, Lord, you don't give a shit, but I'm going to be playing this for sure. But what do you guys think? Are you going to try it out?
So I saw something, one of the reviews or previews or whatever you call them said that it was a mixture of Hitman and Dishonored. And I was like, that's my Venn diagram right there. Those two things I love. So this game was not something that I was looking forward to playing because those trailers and that gameplay did not look fun at all to me. But if that's what they're saying this is, that has completely changed my attitude, and now I will definitely take a look at it.
And that's interesting that you say that, Maulding, because I also heard that it's not like Uncharted, but it's more like Chronicles of Riddick: Escape from Butcher Bay. Which, did you guys ever play that little
I love the movies.
stealthy?
Yeah, that's a deep
No.
cut for the
That
original Xbox. I know I played it on there.
exactly, very deep cut. I played some of that, and I did like. I hear it's just very very stealthy, and I also I love eating my own words because I was adamant that you're playing as the sidekick
You
I was
throughout
gonna
were.
this
bring
game.
that up. I was gonna bring that up. In fact, I am going to play this game. That's what I was gonna say, just to see if you're Marianne or whoever the girl is, because you have been saying for like several podcasts that you don't think it's gonna be Indy the whole time. You think you're gonna play the sidekick too,
And
and that's gonna detract from the story. And I cannot wait to play this game just so I can text you late at night, be like, I just finished it, and you
no,
were never the side character.
well, I can even save you a couple that text because I saw the mega thread on Reddit and I was like, I'm gonna type in. I'm like, so how much of the game do you play as a sidekick? And somebody said none,
Oof.
absolutely zero. And
Wow.
so I'm not sure. Like, I think that's awesome. Like, so you're just focused on Indy the whole time, which I think that's really what we're gunning for. We want to play as Indy, and that's awesome. So they didn't lose sight of that, and that's honestly great. So I'll be definitely. This is much more on the radar as far as I mean, seeing the reviews, man. Like, those are good reviews. Like, this is probably one of the
Completely
best
surprised.
reviews
Yeah,
games in a minute. So, and you got like the cool stealth elements, and so I'm pumped. I'm in a much better place now than I was like a couple months ago. So
nice. No,
yeah.
I agree. I expected almost a coal in our stocking, but it sounds like we're actually getting a real treat from Santa. So I'm super pumped to check this one out.
Yeah.
Uh, all right, moving on. The next story, Maulding, you had this one, Call of Duty controversy.
Yeah, so there's a little bit of a controversy with Call of Duty. This I grabbed from Wesley Yinpool at IGN. We tend to grab some of his stories. Black Ops 6 player is the first to hit Prestige Master level 1000 and reveal the rewards. A Call of Duty Black Ops 6 player appears to become the first in the world to hit Prestige Master level 1000, revealing the previously unknown rewards for doing so in the process, but not everyone in the community is happy about it. A screenshot of gameplay from a Call of Duty player called Aldred revealed the milestone had been achieved, shocking players because a player already hitting the maximum possible level with Black Ops 6 a little over a month old was thought impossible. It's an astronomical amount of XP required to hit that level 1000. It's approximately 50 million XP. Once you prestige 10 times, you can graduate to become a Prestige Master, which I am now Prestige 6 as of last night, which
Ooh.
unlocks an extra 1,000 levels to grind. Hitting level 1,000 Prestige Master is the end point of the entire Black Ops 6 grind and brings with it a set of exclusive rewards that were unknown to the community until now. Ever since Black Ops 6 release, players have used the PvE Zombies mode, which us here at Good Playing With You tried out a couple weeks ago, to farm XP because it's much quicker than playing multiplayer or Warzone. XP progress is shared across all the experiences. And within Zombies mode, various away from keyboard glitches and exploits have been discovered that let players leave their console or PC running as their character obtains XP from infinite waves of zombie enemies. And that's exactly what Aldred did. Why is this a problem? Because some Black Ops 6 players were racing to become the first to hit Prestige Master level 1000 and thus reveal the rewards themselves. Indeed, entire groups of players were working together to reveal the rewards, first through legitimate play. One such group, called Nuke Squad, is made up of Call of Duty streamers who are sharing their accounts in order to hit the coveted milestone, but are now complaining that Aldred is getting there first. The problem shows no sign of stopping either, with both Aldred and Nuke Squad continuing to have their say online. Aldred denied cheating. I'm just doing zombies glitches, mate. I don't know why you're so tilted, he wrote, but admitted there's nothing impressive about my 1000. A member of Nuke Squad has suggested zombies AFK exploiters should get banned. So, as a Call of Duty player who I have put an obscene amount of hours into it, along with a couple of my buddies, it doesn't bother me that someone has hit this milestone. I don't really care in the grand scheme of things, but I understand if someone, a group of people is really trying to hit this legitimately and someone comes in and uses an exploit to get it, how I would be a little bit steamed about that. What do you guys think?
Total bullshit. It's bullshit. I would be pissed. If I was a group that was actually trying to legitimately go for that and you just see a guy going AFK exploit and hit it, I would be like burning the town down. It would be a problem for me. I just, that kind of stuff shouldn't like be celebrated, or yeah, maybe it is. Maybe a ban is should be in place. That would be probably my option for the guy, and then, or just strip him of the prestige. You know?
Well, is it his fault that he used the glitch that the developers left in the game, though? I mean, he was kind of playing the game the way it was built. And yes, don't get me wrong, I hate AFK players, and I deal with them all the time. They super suck. And but these glitches existed, and the developers know that people are going to be racing these things. So they know that there are going to be teams out there dedicated to this. So
Matt, I would say, would you say that if someone does a speed run and they get a speed run record, but they use exploits in the game to get that speed run, they didn't do it legitimately? Do you think it's the same thing? Do you feel the same?
I think it's different doing it for like in almost like a race to the finish between two groups, and one is obviously doing it legitimately, and then there's one that's doing an exploit. You can maybe put them in two different categories then. Like the nuke squad is the first to do it legitimately. Here's this guy doing the exploit. So it's like, obviously they're trying to, and right now there's no difference. So he's still going to get all of the accolades from reaching procedure right off the bat. So
1,000.
Yeah, 1,000.
It's taken
crazy.
me weeks and weeks to hit 5. There is something in that article that I didn't read, and that is that even the nuke squad is kind of going against the rules a little bit, because you are not able to share your account across multiple people. But Black Ops 6 has allowed them to do this under some certain rules, that they can only play 8 hours a day. There are some other rules about it too. That they can only do an 8-hour shifts or something like that. So even they are bending the rules a little bit from what, say, I would be able to do. They got a little bit of a break from Activision. So
interesting.
Yeah.
Huh, so they're both kind of doing some
that's
shade.
what I think.
Interesting. Yeah. It's a tough one to call. But I hear what Dan says though. Like, the developers made it happen essentially. Like they could patch it. Like if there's going to be such a big deal, like patch it out then too. That's another option.
Yeah. They're aware of it.
That's crazy. Well, another thing to be aware of, though, is Switch 2. Again, I know we keep bringing this up, and at some point this console will release, but it looks like it has leaked again. This time, actual photos of the device were leaked online. Now, they're a very blurry first look, but they look exactly like the CAD designs that we talked about and showed off. And I'll link to this video here if you're on YouTube. So you can see our video on that one. But essentially, the designs leaked earlier this year, and now it looks like the actual Joy-Cons themselves have leaked in some very blurry pictures and a video that was posted to Twitter. These Joy-Cons are looking exactly like the past Joy-Cons, only a little bit more ergonomic and rounded. They were white.
Are they made for adult hands and not baby hands? That's what I would like to know. Still made for baby hands? Okay, good.
They did still look like baby hands, although interesting you ask about the size, because in the next article that was related to this, not only did these Joy-Cons get released and shown off online, but also alleged Switch 2 accessories are now available to buy, and some one major retailer, Alibaba, is selling these things online. So you have to take that with a grain of salt because it's Alibaba. They're a little bit shady or whatever, but
Fantastic
one thing that everyone's
fabulous
noticing,
Alibaba. Is that who's doing? That's from Aladdin. Sorry.
Okay, I don't got anything, but I do know that they are a Chinese retailer. I don't know my Aladdin, but I know my Chinese retailers because I buy things on TikTok, and Alibaba is one of them. And they were selling um, screen protectors that were like 8 inches versus like a regular 7 inch. So from this, we can see the new Joy-Cons that are sleeker, white, that actually have the magnets that do snap off, like we rumored, or we talked about those rumors earlier, as well as a larger screen that we also talked about. So it's sounding like all of the internet rumors are coming true, and the release should be soon in the next month or so. Are you guys surprised at this? Hyped about this? Ready to get it over with? Any thoughts at all?
I mean, an inch is really important, so it's nice to have that extra inch.
Yeah, an
Um,
inch
I,
could
I
make
just
all the difference.
Yeah, what did
yeah,
you think of the pictures?
it's
Yeah,
fine.
it looks like a
Yeah,
Joy-Con. Like,
yeah,
I honestly, if you were to show me that and be like, "Look at this picture of the,"
I agree.
I'd be like, "All right, look, what is the heck? What the heck is this?"
And
Blur.
that's kind of why I wanted to bring this up, though, is because I'm shocked. Basically, maybe there's something that these Joy-Cons can do that we haven't seen before. But I'm gonna be shocked if they're pulling the same mistake of a Wii U, where it's doing the same thing as the Wii, but it did it in HD. And that's my concern here. Is this gonna be, maybe 4K or something like that? Before it was HD, and it's gonna be the exact same issue that they had with the Wii and the Wii U. Are they gonna have it with Switch and Switch 2? Especially with potential price increases and all that sort of stuff. I just didn't see anything that denoted something special here that was a next gen console. And so it made me a little really concerned.
I'm with you. There's, I think they're going for the Switch Pro here, but labeling it Switch 2.
Mm.
And I don't know if that was something they had in the cards from the rip, but I kind of just wish they went with like a Switch Pro model, like everyone kind of thought they were gonna, release at some point. So I'm not sure. I'm not super pumped. Let's put it that
I'll
way.
say Nintendo always surprises us. So
Yeah.
I think that I'm hoping that there's some killer in there, some killer app, some killer thing that they have brewing that's going to make it really special. That's my fingers are crossed. I mean, if not, I don't see unless there's a game that comes out that is only playable on Switch 2. I can't imagine I would upgrade to it unless I have to for a game that I really want to play.
I totally agree. And will be happy when we can stop talking about all these leaks because I'm ready for them to just get over it and release it already. Um, some people have said
Give us
it
that
could
extra
potentially.
inch.
Yeah. Some people have said, most people are saying it's going to be announced in January. Some people have said, hey, sure would be nice if it was announced at the game show or the Game Awards, which is actually next Thursday. And we'll be reacting that and recapping all of the headlines next week. So definitely be sure to download the next week podcast for all of the Game Awards reveals. But speaking of games and gamers, Lord, you had a study about where they spend their time.
Yeah, this is an interesting one. This comes from Game Industry's Vicky Blake. Um, Guess what? It's gamers are spending more time watching videos about gaming on YouTube, Twitch, etc., than playing games themselves. So, uh, so that's according to a new report by Media Research, which concluded that gamers typically spend 7.4 hours a week gaming and 8.5 hours a week watching game related videos. The research, which Media claims highlights the untapped potential for game publishers to bring video content inside their own ecosystems, also claims that 24% of console PC players and 40% of in game buyers watch game related content at least monthly, with the latter considered high spending gamers. This means revenue is left on the table, according to the report's authors, with game publishers ceding significant revenue opportunities, especially advertising, to third-party video platforms, even as the game's market faces growth challenges. Bringing video game content inside game ecosystems could allow publishers to compete in another lane of the attention economy, the report states, unlocking new revenue streams in the process. And this is in quotes. It's time for game publishers to think about in-game video as something beyond marketing alone, says Rise Elliott, games analyst, media research. By reclaiming video engagement, publishers have the potential to unlock new revenue streams like advertising and drive growth. So this is kind of a twofold thing. One, interesting that gamers are like glued to the, I feel like these lore videos alone, like Elden Ring lore videos, these people are watching like 15-hour videos out there. So that is insane. And then when you hear stuff like leaving money on the table, this thing is about to create some ripples in the industry. We're going to see some videos being pumped out from these publishers. That's what I think. We're going to see a lot more video content.
Okay, well, here's my concern with their statement. They were saying to put these videos inside the games. And I'm like, hell no. When I turn on a game, I want to be able to play the game. If I want to watch a video, I'm going to turn on YouTube.
Yes, absolutely. That is 100% what I would do too. They want to do in-game? What?
I know. So I didn't understand that because it sounds like they wanted to build a platform with players already in the game to cater to them. And I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well, that
Unless
doesn't.
I didn't hear that correctly. That's what it sounds like they were saying.
Oh, I just figured it was like people watching lore videos on YouTube, and that's what I mean. I was gonna ask you boys, like, do you guys watch that type of stuff? Because I know between like Twitch, I might spend a ton of time on, but like I don't know if I'm sitting down and watching a ton of. I mean, I do watch some, but watching like 8 hours a week of gaming videos seems like a ton.
What makes me realize I need to hop on my streaming and start streaming more for old good playing with you. I pretty much watch to only see if a game is fun and something that I want to buy and pick up myself. That's usually how, and the personality of the person playing it. So those are my two caveats to watching gaming videos.
Yeah. So
I feel
you're
like
thinking,
I watch
Dan,
them all the time.
Are you thinking, so when they're bringing it into the ecosystem,
you're
really thinking,
you're the 8 hours.
Like you're actually thinking like bringing the videos inside the ecosystem, as in inside the game, and then like watching it in like some sort of like theater respect.
Well, I thought that's what the article was about.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what I got. Maybe I misunderstood.
I thought it was these individual publishers building their own streaming, building their own gaming video services.
Oh wow,
so that's how I read it.
We're all hearing it.
We're all
okay. This company is trying to sell. But in terms of watching the videos, I do watch all of those videos, but sometimes I watch these videos while I'm playing. So I'm like looking up where that damn collectible is, and I'm playing too at the same time. So are they counting the concurrence? Because I'm definitely that guy, as well as
you mean the cheaters? Is that what they're counting? Are they counting the cheaters?
Yes.
Interesting.
And also, just I only have a few minutes over lunch, so it's just like real easy to throw on. Like I've been recently addicted to Planet Coaster 2, just came out, and they've got this whole series of people making videos with the craziest roller coasters that you can make, and you can attach scenery on these roller coasters now. And there's a water park now, and these videos are hilarious. So I mean, I just go down these rabbit holes, and so it's me.
So you're that, you're the 8 hours.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I'm like trying to think if you're actually bringing, I just figured they're saying publish your own video out there. Like you're letting YouTube creators like steal money, like basically take money out of your pocket if you're not pushing out video from your game.
I think that's interesting. That might be what it is too, is like, let's say Activision Blizzard having their own Activision Blizzard streamer, like official streamer streaming their game to advertise it to players.
That's what I was.
They should hire us to make videos about their games.
Mm-hmm.
I love getting those headshots in Call of Duty. It's my favorite thing.
Yeah.
And it's I mean, so it's an interesting one. I think it's true though. I mean, I feel like the streaming peak has kind of plateaued, kind of maybe even falling off. So like I think streaming's kind of to the wayside, but I know like, I mean that YouTube video push, long watch time hours, that is there. So we'll see if this, makes any waves. We'll have to wait and see.
it will definitely be interesting to see if it changes the industry at all, or if they all just kind of like shrug their shoulders and move on.
Yeah, very possible.
If there are any marketing departments, we're for sale. So
Absolutely.
I'm kidding. No,
bargain basement prices too.
Yeah, exactly. We're cheap. We're really cheap. Just look at the special effects on our show. You can see how cheap we are. But speaking of industry and not wanting to make changes and stuff like that, Maulding, you had a story about a developer who spoke out recently.
Yeah, so I think this goes to a lot of what we talk about, where there's a difference between the developers who are actually putting the game together and then the executives. So this is from Con Saren at Games Radar. Borderlands 3 and the Elder Scrolls Online director says AAA game studios are playing it safe since, quote, you have people who get nervous because big money is involved, end quote. Borderlands 3 and the Elder Scrolls Online's former director, Paul Sage, reckons that some AAA studios are playing it safe because they're too worried about potentially harming big franchises. While speaking to Games Radar about his new project, Sage had some insight into the current AAA landscape. Sage essentially argues that when studios become too caught up in the expectations people already have of a huge franchise, quote, we can't move in a direction that the creative people who are working on it want. And you start to go back to the mechanics that you've had before introducing new mechanics. And this happens all the time in franchise development, he continues. I can't mention the specific mechanic, but it's something that gets really frustrating. Again, when you talk about the way some of these huge franchises work, you're getting people who don't need to be a part of the creative process explaining how the creative process works. Sage says that the higher-ups sometimes worriedly interrupt in development features, put them in front of focus groups, and then kill the exciting new feature that wasn't even ready to be shown. Quote, and the best of intentions are there, but there's a point in time where if you're halfway through a feature, you don't want people to look at it because what they're seeing is not always going to be the full picture, he explains. I remember when I was a kid, my mom used to paint, and if you ever look at a painting halfway through, it looks terrible. And she'd say, just wait for that painting to come out. So you want to get those evaluations done at the right time, but you have people who get nervous because big money is involved. And so they say, let's put this in front of a user group right now. And you're like, this is not going to ready for it to be seen. At this point, they're getting half of the picture. So I think we've mentioned this a couple times on the pod about how the big executives get in the way of the creative people and really dilute the creativity that's needed to push boundaries in the industry. I think specifically we talked about the head guy of Microsoft a couple weeks back and how his decisions, while may be good for the bottom line, aren't necessarily good for the industry as a whole. So what do you guys think about that?
Oh,
Agree? I agree.
I absolutely agree. You got the execs in there. You got like a $300 million game in the oven. Like they're gonna have a say, and I think that just goes back to, there's a story that that's why the indie games are becoming, selling so well. You don't have an executive in the background, like over your shoulder, looking at a half-baked mechanic that hasn't come out or fully transformed what the game will be. It's just too bad. You hate to see that is, I think that's just the reality of gaming right now. And so
it is the reality of a lot of industries too. Film and television is the same way.
Right.
Yeah,
it goes beyond. Yeah. But I think there will be a point theoretically where the pendulum will swing a little bit and the reins will have to be released a little bit and let those creative folks really get in there and make unique and fully fleshed out games that their vision. That's what I hope to see, but we'll see if that comes to light.
What do you think, Dan?
No, I 100% agree. I can understand the hesitancy to change something that's not broken. So like if the first one, it did really well, then I can understand them wanting to, be very cautious. But by the time Spider-Man 2 came out, it looked and played so much like Spider-Man 1, I couldn't get into it. And Miles Morales was the same way. I really couldn't get into these games because they didn't pivot enough for me. So sometimes playing it too safe can also injure you and hurt the end product. So it's just a tightrope that these big companies have to walk, and it's unfortunate. But look, that's how big companies work. So I
Yeah.
think you're right. I think the only exciting stuff we're really going to see is out of these small independent companies.
When I was reading this, all I could think the whole time was Concord, because that felt to me like an executive driven game.
Yes, for sure. And definitely
I don't know that for a
focus
fact, but
group.
it definitely felt that way. Yeah,
And so
Focus grouped.
these executives are coming in, they're saying this is veering too far from the original. We need to rein it in.
I think it's a mix of that and, hey, this not only does it veer too much from the original, but you're experimenting a little too much. Like this new mechanic you're creating might not be as exciting as this old mechanic we had. So let's keep the old mechanic and continue with that instead.
It's such a fine line though, because sometimes I love it. I like an old mechanic. Don't get me wrong. Like sometimes I'm like, no, this thing works, and we might need more of that in the sequel. And so it's a fine line. I'm sure that's tough to like a executive who might not have like a very keen video game eye. I could definitely see that being like, okay, no, we need to go back to the original. Like this is getting a little wild.
I know, but then you look at the case of Ubisoft, where every single game they release is the same thing. And it's coming to the point where we can't buy Ubisoft games because A, we know that upon launch, they are going to be full of bugs. But B, they're either going to be a ripoff of Assassin's Creed or they're going to be a ripoff of Far Cry, which is their own. They've made so many sequels of this cookie cutter template, and we bought them year after year after year to the point where we're exhausted with their formula. And that's their fault for not iterating more on these.
Yeah, great point. Yeah, really great point.
Well, real quickly as an aside and as a segue, speaking of games that hopefully do pivot and make some changes, but I'm still excited for them because I'm a sucker either way. Borderlands 4. Maulding, you had mentioned that the guy who made these quotes was from Borderlands 3, right?
He was from yes,
Okay.
Sage, Paul Sage.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of just triggered my mind. I was like, oh yeah, Borderlands 4. Anyway, I was scrolling on Twitter and Randy Pitchford today made some sort of comment on Twitter about how he was really excited for the Borderlands 4 trailer to come out soon. And then he was like, oh, I got in trouble for saying that. So A, Borderlands 4 trailer coming soon. B, what do you think the chances are this Borderlands 4 trailer that Randy Pitchford is working on is for the Game Awards show next Thursday, and we will be able to see to it and react to it next Thursday. I'm putting two and two together here is all I'm saying. Two and two.
I love making those connections. So yes, I'm with you 100%. It's got to be a Game Award. That's like the quintessential game to drop a trailer like that. I mean, it makes perfect sense.
I
also heard a rumor that you'd only be able to play as Indiana Jones' sidekick in that game too, which is a really crazy rumor that I don't know about.
All right. I'm out. I'm out. Yeah, I think it's very likely. I think that makes a lot of sense. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Hopefully, we get a bunch of good trailers in the Game Awards. Like I'm expecting a lot.
Yep, I'm excited for next week. Well, one game I was kind of excited to play was Stalker 2, and I know that you've been playing it, Lord, but you wanted to update your preview for us.
I had to update the preview because I kind of explained this a little bit to Dan earlier, and it's a wild one. It's so my Game Pass is running out, Maulding, and it's running out. I had like 10 days left. It wanted me to pay another $20, and I was like, you know what? I really just want to play Stalker, so I'm gonna get it on PC, and I don't want to lock. I really didn't want to lock my save behind the Xbox. That was my thing. I was like, I want it on the PC, and so I restarted it because I had played about 2 hours and a half on the Series S, and when I started on the PC, I noticed there was some differences between the two systems. Like there was more going on in the PC version. There's little instances where I was just like, that did not even happen in the Series S playthrough. And I just thought it was a weird kind of realization that is this has this been going on behind the scenes in a lot of different games where the Series S was just not having stuff occur that might occur on a Series X or a PC? And I was
Well,
just kind of having my mind blown.
what are some of the examples? Are they like graphics and textures, or are you talking like full blown cutscenes that just didn't
Like,
appear?
not well, a good example is at the at smack dab in the middle, the beginning of the game, there's this like electric anomaly that comes over and kills this soldier, and it kind of like worms its way through this sewer that you're walking through. That did not happen at all in the Series S version. And so I remember I was like, okay, I can just walk right through here. And I'm like, wait, there's this electric thing going on right here. There's another instance where I was going up this windmill and there's all these traps everywhere, and I wasn't even able to I was able to disable them on the Series S, but I wasn't able to collect the bits and like get the stuff. And on the PC, I had no problem. And then on top of that, there's way more of these big anomalies all over the world that I was like, wait, there's fewer of these little moments just in the world that I would have had no idea there was a difference. Like, I just thought
Hmm.
that was the normal gameplay. And
So did you think that the PC version, would you say, is the superior version if someone's going to play it? And is it noticeable enough that you would discourage them from actually playing it on the Xbox Series S?
that's a no. I don't think I could do that. Is I think you should definitely play this game. And even if you know, miss out on these couple little things, I think you should still play it, but just know that I mean, it's superior in a way. You might miss out on these bits, but I just thought it was strange how there was some discrepancies there, and they were noticeable playing it so recently. I was like, this is different. There's stuff going
I,
on two different platforms. So
I wonder if there's any difference between the S and the X too.
I would love to know that as well. And it could just be the S that, like, that release has different variations. But yeah, it's a weird one. I had to mention it because I just thought it was so strange seeing these two different things going on. And so still a great game though. Everyone pick it up.
All right, good to know. Thank you
Nice.
for that update. All right, let's jump into the listener emails of the week. If you want to suggest a topic for us to debate, feel free to hit us up at goodplayingwithyou@gmail.com. This week, Maulding, I believe you have the first topic for us.
I'd love it if someone would email us so we didn't have to keep on coming up with these on our own. So check us out on goodplayingwithyou@gmail.com.
True. Yeah, because I'm over here thinking let's do yours first, Maulding.
Okay. Yeah, so this was just something off the top of my head. I was thinking, you know, we asked a question a while back of like what video game world we'd like to live in. And then I started thinking, hey, if I could like trade places with a video game protagonist and be that protagonist, who would I want to be? So I wanted to put that out to the boys on the pod. And my first, immediately, it was no question in my mind. It was going to be Nathan Drake from
It's
the
a classic
games.
answer. Yeah.
Like he's just so suave. He's really attractive, just like completely charming, really athletic, can jump from broken train to broken train. Like he's just really good at what he does. And he's just when I think of like a hot video game protagonist that I'd want to be, like he's my number one. So what about you? What did you guys think?
No, well, great choice. That's that was a good one. I
For
was
sure.
thinking a lot about it, and I was like, well, I wouldn't mind being Master Chief because hey, that suit gives you a lot of protection. I know a lot is resting on that man's shoulders, but it could be fun just in there like smacking around, you know, some aliens and taking on the flood, and it would be a wild experience, but I thought it would be definitely a notable experience and scary. But I think yeah, it's got to be Master Chief for me.
It's got to be a little stinky inside there, though, don't you think? Inside that
I
suit.
know, right?
Oh yeah.
he never takes off the helmet, and I'm like, how does he
Yeah.
shit? Like, I don't even. He would just be trouble. Like, I
It's
don't know.
science. You just shit right in that thing and just let it.
You do. It just
eat
gets
it up.
recycled like the
Yeah.
Dune, like those still suits in Dune. It just
Right.
gets recycled and he drinks it.
Awesome.
What about you, Dan?
My first pick was probably one of the first times I was like, holy crap, this is awesome. And that came with GTA Vice City. When I found out Ray Liotta was the name of Tommy Vercetti, and then I played the game and got to be Tommy Vercetti in a 1980s Miami, I was in heaven. It was the first time I was like, man, people are making a really cool, mature video game. Like, people should know about this. Like, this could be a thing. You know what I mean? Like, I was
Go somewhere.
yeah, exactly. That Tommy Vercetti was just a cool kind of character. He was a young, wise guy, and then his story of like how he was betrayed, but then he still takes over and becomes this boss and gets revenge. I thought was fantastic. It was just really mature for its time and had a great actor with a great voice, and I thought he was cool. So I'm a huge Tommy Vercetti fan, and I would love to see some sort of cameo or mention of him in GTA 6 that's upcoming.
There's gotta be. Isn't it? Pardon me. Isn't it also funny? Pardon me. How we look back at those games. Yeah, that I'm coughing to death. That I look back at that game and I don't feel like those had bad graphics. Like, I feel like I played GTA 3, 4 with the same graphics that I played GTA 5 with. Like, in my head, they all look the same to me. But you look back at the gameplay, it's just like pixels.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's just
wild.
I just remember spending hours jumping the motorcycle in Vice City. I just jumped the motorcycle, the slow motion. Oh, I did that for
I think
so
there was a time, one Christmas Eve or something like that, where Maulding and I were in GTA 5 and just jumped motorcycles and collected crap and stuff like that. That was really fun.
It was so much fun.
Gosh.
Yeah,
well, now I want to play Vice City. Oh my gosh.
Go back.
Well,
and then I had a
what's your next
second one. Mine was just kind of it's more funny than anything. Is I would love to be a sim and just not have control over myself and just have some all godly power just telling me when to shit and when to pee and like, whoops, you peed your pants. Okay, well, just clean that up and then go to work. And then especially how the work day is like 8 hours and it just flies by and it's just like a button that you press and all of a sudden you're back home and you're eating and shitting again and cleaning it up. I just think it would be really nice to not have to worry about anything and just have some.
I think that is a hilarious answer, and I could definitely be down with that if the player was a pervert that had the pervert mod, like Wicked Intentions, or I don't remember the name of the mod or whatever, but you see him on the porn sites or whatever where the Sims are like humping each other and stuff, and I'm like, okay, if I'm going to be a Sim, that's pretty boring, but if you have that nudie mod, then I'm down.
There you go.
Yeah, don't make me one of those Sims that's like a single mom with a baby. Like that, that doesn't. I mean, no offense to single moms with the babies, but that just doesn't sound like a lot of fun for me.
Yeah, or as long as you don't get dropped into a pool and then like the little railing gets removed. Yeah, the ladder gets removed.
Exactly. I would be like, as I was drowning.
I thought,
flipping
you know,
I had a sorry for audio listeners.
I had a tough time thinking of this a second one, honestly, because I was kind of torn. I had like all these animals involved in my mind. I had Crash Bandicoot, I had Ratchet, and then I was like, those are kind of some fun characters. I had like Jack, and
You're
then
a
I was
closet
like,
furry, bro.
I know. I think I'm a closet furry, man. I'm like, all these animals sound fun to play as.
Conqueror's Bad Fur Day.
Yeah, right. You're a total conqueror.
I'm a total conk over here. But then I thought, you know what? I think Luigi would be a good character to be because you can jump really high for one thing, and then you don't
Wiggle
have
your
all
little
the
legs.
pressure that Mario has. So you're just kind of like the dude in the background, and you just get to vibe out and you get to hang out with mushroom people and dinosaurs. I think that would be not a bad life to live.
I agree.
I think that's a good one.
I really do too. And I've often thought that he gets to go on all the adventures that Mario gets to go on. He's not locked down by one woman. He can play the field with all of the other princesses. Like
even Waluigi, if he, wants to swing that way.
Depends on how much he's been drinking.
Never know. He might. Yeah. So that's definitely I like my second. Yeah.
That is such a good one. For my second, I couldn't really think between two of them. One was obviously Chris Redfield, because he's Mr. Cool Boulder Puncher, bro. And he saves the day every single time. So I'm like, okay, I could definitely be some Chris Redfield. Although the Umbrella Nightmare just never stops. So I'm like, at by 7 or 8, I would be like, you guys, seriously, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Who do we have to shoot in the head to get this Umbrella Corporation stopped? So it might be a little tiresome after some point, but he looks great and is such a cool guy. And then the other one was John Marsden, the original protagonist from Red Dead Redemption, just because he was the best reluctant hero. He was the coolest guy. Like, he was a badass, but all he wanted to do was live and raise his son and live with his wife. But then he was forced and blackmailed by the sheriff to go hunt down the former members of his gang. And then, of course, he's a badass and does all this killing and stuff like that. But he's a family man at heart. And so that I thought was really cool.
Great
That's
picks.
a good one. And he's pretty hot too. That helps.
Yeah.
That first, he was looking good in that first game, no doubt about it.
Definitely a cool guy. All right, good topic. What about the second one? Was that you, Lord?
Yeah, that was me. You know, I was thinking about crack this week.
Oh my God, I've been watching Cops, and there's a lot of that on there.
Yes, probably must have caught some Cops or something along the line. So I was thinking, what are games that are equivalent to crack? And I'm like, I could kick this off. And my initial thought that really came to mind was, and unfortunately it's fallen from grace, but Rainbow Six Siege. That game, when it came out and they had all the destructibility and it was still realistic, I was so hooked on that game. I could not wait to jump on the PS4 and game out with the boys. That one was so much fun. I really thought that game was going to be like my ride or die forever.
Yeah,
And
you talked about it all the time.
I know. I'm telling you, that game was so good. And man, it's gone downhill. So I wish it was still in the crack sphere, but it's not. So that was my first pick. How about you guys?
Maulding?
So it's becoming a tradition with me and a few friends that we play Ark. And I know I talk about Ark a lot in the pod, but Ark we play during the holidays, and it's this weekend we're going to start up again. But that game is you just lose hours and hours and hours, and it's just gone. You sign in, you start playing, and then all of a sudden 12 hours later you're like, wait a minute, where did my day go? And I'm not going to mention names, but I have a couple of friends who I'll be playing this game with who actually spent 24 hours straight. They played right through the night.
That's a lot of Mountain Dew.
Up. Yeah, there's a lot of Mountain Dew.
24
possibly
hours.
Some crack. I'm not really even sure.
Get some crack in there.
Crack talk.
No, of course not. But I remember going to bed after playing all day, waking up the next morning, and they were still playing, and I was shocked. But I completely get it. That game, the game is just crazy. Mostly because like you pick a goal, and while you're trying to accomplish that goal, like building a new house or something, then you get sidetracked by like, oh, I need to get some metal. Oh, I need to tame this dinosaur, and it just extends, and I absolutely love it, and I can't wait to jump back in this weekend.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Dan, it sounds like we're gonna have to stage an intervention for Maulding because he's about to be on that arc.
You guys should come join, is what you should do. Come join our arc.
Yeah. That's a good one, and maybe I will.
You should.
My picks are so similar that I just wanted to say both of mine because they're really related, and then you can wrap it up. You guys can wrap it up. But so mine are Planet Coaster and City Skylines. Like these two games, and games of these genre or whatever, where you're like building something, and then when you're done, you get to see how it affects the world, and then you're like, well, obviously I need to put in a subway, or obviously I need to put this electrical line in. As, oh no, I'm running out of electricity, I need to build this power plant, you see, and then that's going to affect things. And just like doing things and seeing it affect the world. And Planet Coaster is the same way of putting in a really badass coaster or something like that, and getting that thrill of like turning it on, just see how people react and how much money you make, and all of a sudden you've got tons of money and you can build anything you want, and then all of a sudden, you know, your dumpsters get full and everyone in your city gets sick and they're all throw up and
They're all
die.
angry that it's dirty.
Yeah, I had dirty problems in that city. But anyway, it's just totally addictive. And my favorite is brew a cup of coffee Saturday morning, just sit there with my controller and just zone out into these things. And that truly is like crack to me. I absolutely love it. But I had to do both mine together because they're so similar.
Oh yeah. Well,
Lord.
yeah, wait, actually, speaking of which, like, if you're a fan of Roller Coaster Tycoon, is Planet Coaster gonna scratch that itch?
Oh yeah. Well, let me tell you about this one real set.
Yeah. Yeah.
Planet Atari took the license of Planet Roller Coaster Tycoon that we all grew up with and knew and loved, and they ran it into the ground, and it's dead, similar to the way that Maxis did SimCity, or EA did to SimCity. So that's dead too. So their successors are, you know, City Skylines, which is cool. They just put out a sequel, City Skylines 2, and unfortunately, it's really buggy and refused. We got some harsh, reviews, so we're holding on that one. But then Frontier developer is the one who is in charge of Planet Coaster. Planet Coaster 1 was extremely well received and very, very fun, but they just released Planet Coaster 2. And while some nerds are complaining that there's not enough to change and it just feels like, you know, the same, but with the water parks, I'm in. It looks gorgeous. I've been watching tons of videos, and so I'm glad you asked, because those are the next gen versions, and if you're interested, there's ones to pick up.
No, that's exactly what I wanted to know, because I'm a huge Tycoon fan. So
yeah, Tycoon's over. It's Planet Coaster for the move forward.
There we go.
2 just released.
And speaking of kind of the nostalgia pick, I couldn't resist. I had to pick Pokemon as my second game. Doesn't matter which game, which generation. You get me on some Pokemon, I am about to drop some serious hours into that one. That's why I like don't pick them up anymore, because I'm like, I'll just like have it. And it's just those Pokemon just really, I mean, it's probably that furry side in me. Jeez.
Yeah, jeez. I really think you're trying to tell us something.
Pokemon is just it's so great. That formula, like my 10-year-old, 9-year-old little brain couldn't comprehend just how genius that formula was back in the day on the Game Boy. And it's carried on up through adulthood. So great game. Lots of good crackness to it.
Yeah, and it's amazing me how many hours you put into it. The last time I borrowed one from you, you had a ton of hours, and you're like, oh, you can just go ahead and wipe my save and start over if you want to try it out. And I was like, what the hell, dude?
Yeah,
he's hardcore.
I know. I'm hardcore. I'll wipe and start from the beginning too. Yeah, it doesn't matter to me. I'll go right from the rip. All good.
I've never played a Pokemon game. I have no idea what you even do in them. I know.
Maulding.
I know.
I'm a little shook.
I'm bad.
I might have to let you borrow one of mine so you can enjoy the beauty.
I don't know if he's quite the furry you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe
let's see what. Yeah.
Maulding, what's your last one?
Yeah, my last one is a neighbor of mine asked me an opinion of Baldur's Gate, of which I told him, of course, it's the best game ever made. And he was talking about how his wife likes to assassinate and wondering if there was any of that in that game. And I'm like, no, it's creative, but it's not like an Assassin's Creed. And I'm like, well, you know what is a better version of Assassin's Creed and is all assassination, and that is Hitman. And Hitman is just... you get into that game and you want to try to find all the ways to kill a person, and you can kill them in the most creative ways. It is so much like crack for me. I love that game so much. And you get to know the levels, you get to know these secret paths to get where you want to go a little bit better. And then you have issues that you have to resolve to kill them in a certain way, and then you try to kill them in the most difficult ways, just wearing your suit and not getting any other costumes on. It's just it's so good, and I'm gonna actually boot it up again here pretty soon to play again because I love it so much.
Great choice, Maulding. Hitman's so good.
World of Assassination.
Yeah, so because I used to play some of those old ones on like the family PC back in the day, and they were still so good. So if they're
still
good
up now, but World of Assassination is just incredible. It's like 12 different lands or worlds, to whatever you want to call them, to areas. It's so good.
I'll be checking it out.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, definitely some solid picks there. That pretty much wraps up everything we have for this week. If you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. And if you're listening on the podcast, please tell a friend. And on behalf of Matt Maulding, Matt Lord, and myself, Dan Whitehill, have a great weekend. Thanks for joining us. And as always, good playing with you.
Good playing with you.
Good playing with you.